Thank you. Welcome back. Why did I say thank you? Welcome back to the NLC, everyone. Myself, Trouble, and Jamad are ready for our third game of the night. It is Tricked versus Fnatic. And actually, it's going to be a bit of a banger. Tricked currently equal record to XL over in Group A. They did lose to Nordavind, though, over in Group B relatively recently. Nordavind, obviously, a very strong team on that side as well. But we clearly know that they have what it takes to beat top teams in our league. And of course, Gullborg, ever the faithful, has predicted them, the rest of us going for Fnatic Rising here. But I do think this is going to be one of the tougher tests that Fnatic Rising is going to have to face in this particular cross-group stage. And so therefore, we'll have to see how it pans out.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think aside from obviously BTXL being the main contender, I think if you're looking at non-academy teams just in the league that you would, put down as potentials to actually challenge or take wins off of a Fnatic Rising, Tricked is on that list, probably at the top of that list. So like you say, challenge indeed. I want to see how Tricked actually come out here today, because I think whilst, they lost to Nordavind, but I also think their game before that against Godsent, they were on the ropes for a lot of that. And there was, a few circumstances around the victory there too. So I'm not so sold on exactly what kind of form of Tricked we're going to see coming into it. But if they are back to, sort of the early weeks Tricked, then I expect this to be a real hot, probably a bloody match as well, knowing Fnatic Rising.
It's just so funny how we're seeing the more fighting champions getting banned instantly here, like the Xin Zhao, the Lee Sin, the Wen, the Renekton, the champions that want straight out the bat to duel you, skirmish you, kill you very early on in the game. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Nocturne ban coming out, maybe something like the Akali that's gotten out. I don't expect to see a Nocturne go through here. I think this is one of the champions that these two teams would very heavily prioritize as a B1. But okay, Fnatic feels like the Lul would be more of a problem.
Has been popping up a lot recently, but as you said, the Nocturne does seem like it should be high value, but it's the Lucian that gets locked in. That is something that Poulsen really performs on those. So like if you're going to lock in for something for Poulsen, like the Lucian should be something that he feels pretty comfortable on.
Yeah, he's had it banned against him quite a few times this split since that one in particular pop-off performance. I think it was week 1, and he's just barely managed to have his hands on it. I think for Fnatic Rising, they're sort of reading into Tricked. Tricked have also been a team that I've liked and lent on this a little bit, so they just don't want to see it first picked. And immediately now, they're going to also lock in the Rumble. Curious to see if they want to go down, the sort of older meta rotation of the owner at the same time, or if they want to take something like the Varus, or also take away the Ezreal in the same rotation.
Yeah, and I wonder if you don't want to lock in the Karma. Karma is a pretty clear counter to Rumble, and then it also synergizes really well with Lucian, and then another ADC that Tricked is gonna pick for the bot lane as well. So I'm really worried because Karma is open. First item Karma is like so good against Rumble. Equalizer never ends up doing any damage to you. So I'm really hoping that Tricked take this one away, whether they put it down the bot lane or in a solo lane. I would just really like to see the Karma versus the Rumble.
I think the Thresh makes it tricky though, because you can't necessarily, like you say, it's like a bit hard to put into the bottom lane with the Thresh there. I 100% agree with the sentiment. It probably needs to be locked in just to deal with the Rumble. And I want to see it probably in a solo lane. I think Madley, for the most part, has been on sort of weak side duty, so I would expect him to be the one that picks up the Karma in this case. And I like the Ezreal at the same time. I think it might not be the best lane to put straight up into the bottom side, because then you might deal with, the Varus plus the Thresh, and even all the poke that Karma plus Ezreal can put out there would be a bit tricky, but I still think it would probably be the correct rotation here from Tricked. And you can just wait to lock in something for Taksha. I think he's got a champion version. Or even they had the Diana's been high priority too, so yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
okay,
Diana's been popping up.
I recently did a segment on that. Diana into Rumble. She beats Rumble every single time. She keeps up with his clear speed, especially because her attack speed was buffed in a recent patch. And now she's going into Nasus as well. So she keeps up with the clear speed. If she finds Rumble, she does beat him 1v1 because Rumble doesn't deal well with high burst champions in general. So I think it's a really good combo. I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing from Tricked straight out the bat. They can go for something like the set on the top side of the map as well. If they want to put the Karma maybe in the mid lane, they can transition the Karma down bot lane with an ADC, so they can have prior from there. It's literally like the map is open for Tricked right now. Whilst Fnatic Rising, I feel like they're doing sort of the same thing that BTXL did in their previous draft. The drafting more for the skirmish for the early game to try and get their foot in first onto the Rift and then snowball from there.
No, sorry.
You go.
Yeah, no, I think for Fnatic Rising, they're doing the correct thing too. I think removing away safe AD carries in the Ezreal, I wouldn't be too surprised to maybe see them pivot away from AD carry bans, but at the same time, it's sort of like the one stable place that they can probably safely hit on the champion pool of a player here in Denboxney. So another one wouldn't be too bad. They want to remove away the Nautilus in the expectations of Karma being in the top side. And I think for Trick, you just have to remove away another strong sort of Thresh pairing, right? Whatever it is, Bean's played things like Jinx, he's played things like Vayne. But I think another strong lane bully would probably be the right kind of idea here for Trick as well. It's fine with that.
We'll see what they go for. As you said, Jinx Jinx is obviously one of those AD carries, like low mobility. You pair it with the Thresh quite a lot right now. So there's Varus and Jinx are those two popular ones that often go hand in hand with the Thresh here. The rest, they still things that it can work with Thresh, even if they do have their own forms of escape. Things like the Tristana still works okay in that scenario. Let's have a look though. Ryze could get locked in here, which would be relatively interesting, but we'll have to see. It's not something that you would expect to see too much of in the recent meta, and it's going to be LeBlanc locked in for Febby here. So LeBlanc in the mid lane.
Okay, so typically LeBlanc trades really well into ADCs, but Lucian is not your traditional ADC in the mid lane. It's played into the micro in the mid lane and the movement that both this skill matchup has, but Lucian has a lot more wave clear because LeBlanc has to use the ability that basically is her evade or her engage if she wants to clear out the wave and push. So I want to see how this will play out, and if this looks what it looks like, which is a Kalista bot lane, I would expect maybe something like a Braum go down, which works really well versus Jace and also gives Kalista and Lucian a really nice platform to look in the passive. I'm talking trash again because we're looking at the Leona.
Yeah, no, they needed engage though. I think only having the Fate's Call for sort of like just chucking in a tank isn't enough. I think the Leona makes a whole bunch of sense, and there's nothing that Fnatic can really do about solar flares, right? You either have to just eat it, flash, cleanse, whatever it is. So I think it's definitely the correct call because they've got a fair amount of sort of nice follow-up to something like the solar flares with the move forward, with the culling, all that kind of stuff. So I like that lock in there, and it means on the bottom side, if Tricks want to, they can probably get really aggressive. I like the immediate response of the Ashe to try and sort of temper this Kalista rather, into a bit of a corner just because of how the slow works with the passive. So I think all in all, both sides have really strong tools to play towards. If you're Fnatic, you can very easily play towards the mid lane because of the LeBlanc matchup. It can be a bit volatile on the bottom side. You've got a strong AD matchup too. So I think across the board, both teams are probably going to look to play towards their stronger lanes.
Yeah, I just have a feeling that Fnatic Rising doesn't necessarily do a whole bunch when they're together. Like, they don't have a clear identity as a composition, but they have a clear identity when it comes Jace versus Karma, LeBlanc versus Lucian. Like, the matchups individually, and where Max is gonna just go with his Rumble and later on probably try to stack up the dragon so they can force people through the equalizer in the choke points. But I just really like Twitch's composition right there, especially the Karma into the Rumble negates so much of your troubles of going through the choke point and literally walking onto the equalizer to get into the Dragon Pit to try and contest for these objectives. You've got the Leona for the engages, you've got the early game with the Kalista. I just really enjoy this strict comp.
I think it's a good draft. I mean, Tricks clearly have a comp that works together on almost every front, and deals with some of what Fnatic's got coming their way. But as we have seen, sometimes individual skill does shine through, and Fnatic has got some very individually skilled players. So we'll see. Let's get on to the Rift though with our casters, Hitbread and Gulborg. We'll see you soon.
I hear what you guys are saying about Trix comp, but I raise you one Feathervan LeBlanc. This is a champion who I will always think of when I think of Feathervan. It's a hard matchup versus the Lucian, I'll give him that, but I'm so excited to see him on it. He pulled it out last week as well, and he stomped, if I remember correctly, as well. So it's going to be a good game. I think, though, like the desk was saying, Trick do have some pretty good tools in their team.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the piercing light you're able to hit and the poke there. If Febby is good enough at dodging them out, he should have the advantage of just getting some of that poke down. But it's going to be interesting because on the side of Trick, you put in Madly onto a more weak side position with the Karma obviously trying to skirmish around with the Diana or help out the Kalista. Kalista can struggle against Ashe. She kind of scales off that movement speed to get to get a little pounces going when she winds up there's attack speed. So when Bean is slowing the Kalista, that does make it fairly hard if they get the upper hand at every given time down in this bottom lane, which they should be able to, at least in laning phase, since they have Thresh into Leona. It's very hard for Leona to do anything.
Yeah, it's a nice little matchup in kind of the micro of the supports there for Fnatic to work with. And, you know, I feel this bot lane is going to be a little bit rough for Trick just because, like you said, there's so many slows coming down. You got that big volley that takes up most of the lane, so it's very hard to kind of walk up aggressively. And even if you do, the Thresh can disengage it with the Lantern, with the Flay. There's so many things he's got in his toolkit. Top lane, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this top lane, because, you know, top can be my weak area in knowledge at times.
It's okay, but for the future, when you see enchanters up there, don't expect too much, honestly.
Yeah, okay. I don't know where I was going, but I was like, maybe I'm wrong.
No, like, I will say it can be a bit poke reliant as well. Like, I have seen where there has been kill pressure in lanes for both sides. Specifically, the Karma does have set up for a gank with the Teta as well. But for the most part, it's very disengaging. It's like, here's the shield, catch my mantra in your face. Oh, you throw shock flags back at me. Well, there we go. But yeah, down in this bottom lane, double range with the Ashe and the Thresh going up against the Leona and Kalista. There's really not much you can do in the early levels here.
They've been trying to trade Electrocute off early there, but wasn't able to get the extra auto in to be able to set that up. But now got their level 2 mark. We'll have the Sigil and the Distortion available, so it's a deceptively high burst. I mean, it's a LeBlanc, it's always high burst, right? But it's pretty nice. Anyway, you're gonna see Bean throw out the Hawk shot or the drone shot in this particular skin, just to spot out where Taxa is, and I believe he was seen.
He was, and that's the thing. He did it level 2. You know, most Ashe would be like, oh, I got W, and I'll get my Q and see if I can get some extra damage going if I proc it. But no, instantly goes for that E for that scouting, which of course in competitive does so much more. The fact that you can communicate where Taxa is on the map.
Yeah, and like realistically, is he going to be using the Q this level?
I mean, not really.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But that is going to make it interesting because both junglers right now, Hitbrain, they are down towards this bottom side of the map. So if they're to fight around the Scuttle, or if they're just to fight around this big wave that's being stacked up by Trick, it looked like Fnatic would have the upper hand here.
Taxa will be spotted out on that ward. Lucky gets disengaged, has to flash forward to find Rux, but Rux still has the flash as he is running away. The exhaust is there, the hook is there, and here come the teleports. Here comes Febby, misses out on the chains as the double teleports are coming in as well. Polson looks to join the fray. First blood already picked up. 4-1 on the side of Fnatic, and Trick's health bars are so low. Can Febby find a chain? Can he find the distortion? Into the hook. That was disgusting. And Fnatic already taking names. Tricked losing members left, right, and center as Bean has to flash away to safety. Tricked are just chunked.
And I just said it as well, right? If Trick goes for an engage there, they just lose. Yes, they get to be first on the play, but you see how much they have to invest to get onto rocks on the Thresh. He plays away the Leona as soon as the play starts, and then Lucky is forced to flash onto him. As soon as he does that, well, he's just going to flash away. TP starts coming through, Death Sentence, the Flay to keep him in check, and the slows from Ashe going up against it. If you don't one-shot a member, you don't win. It's just that simple in this little matchup here when you get a small man advantage, and then obviously the flash play from Vox onto 4 people. That is beautiful. That is just beautiful.
That was honestly Rux, beautiful. Chef's kiss. Wonderful execution there from Fnatic, and that got them 2 kills early in this game. And honestly, for Trick, they could be happy that it was just the 2 kills, because that was a lot closer to being an entire ace at that 3-minute mark. But now Fnatic,
it honestly was
just going to go off for the resets, and let's try and spend some gold as they have taken back to the map now, looking to try and see if they can get some vision control around this dragon area. Rux is making his way over, and Febby actually going to distortion forward. The Lantern's on. Lucky gets the snare, but you're going to get chained. The Sigil of Malice is on. The slows of that. Febby, you got to land those, buddy. He was slowed.
It's fine. He takes... Okay, Febby changed to the right side. Rux hooks for the left side. Nowhere for them to go. There you go. That's how you do it. But yeah, Trick, I honestly don't know what they were doing up there. You didn't have the mid lane priority, and I mean, yeah, they must have thought that Maxi for sure was up towards that top side of the map. Or I don't. Honestly, I'm still a bit surprised they even were in River. There's nothing for them to do there.
The dragon is up, and it looks like Fnatic are going to start that one up as Maxi is going to pick up this Inferno. A little bit extra AD and AP to work with. Nothing they can really sneer at. Lucky's making his way over, but I don't think he really wants to try and contest this. Although Taxa is in the area. Again, I'm not sure if Taxa really wants to dive into a Fresh and a Rumble. May just look for a potential gank here.
But you can't even do that, because you know the Drake was just taken. You don't have mid lane priority. Febi's recall into the fucking wall, so you don't realistically know if he's coming yet. So you can't make a play. And that's why I really had a hard time liking what we saw from Trick in terms of what lane are we playing for, because your strong side as a team to play for is going to be the bottom side of the map. But both players in Beans Ash and Rock's Thresh counters what then Voxner and Lucky wants to do here. So it's making it so hard for them to go for a lead, to try and fight leverage into this early game.
Maybe, Dan, you should have pulled out the Lee Sin again.
Oh.
I'm glad he's not playing the Lee Sin again. Although they did win with it.
They did win. For people who didn't know, then Voxner picked Lee Sin to get up with a center lane. They did win, but he had a hilarious fail where he tried to insect and he just kicked him away.
Okay, but I'll give this to him. I said it at the time. I'll give it to him. He's an AD carry player. How many AD carry players can reliably insect?
Yeah, that'd be fine if he was just playing, a normal game. But if you're going into an official and you're putting out a champion, then you can't just go like, oh, that's okay. He's an AD carry player, but he picked Teemo, so it's fine. No, that's not how it goes. That's not how it goes.
I mean, Teemo's a little bit closer to his wheelhouse, right? Like, you can go like
you get my point.
Teemo.
It's kind of picking a champion that is not in that lane normally and then excusing it just because, he did pick it. No. Anyways, to get back into the game, taking a stock at to where the junglers are right now, we are looking up towards this top side of the map, where Pride currently has no mana. Matley does still have Flash. I think it's coming off cooldown now, yeah?
Equalizer's available. They're going to look for the harpoons. Madly able to get the speed up and dodge away from the pair of them, but the tether's going to pop, and that's the shot blast. Equalizer probably won't be enough to finish up the kill, so if those harpoons hit, that would be a dead Madly, but really nice job from him. Really confident play as Febby jumps in, misses the chain onto Poulsen. I think we're like 0 for 3 on chains right now with Febby.
Oh, you'd leave him alone. I've seen your LeBlanc. It's not like you're doing any wonders yourself. I
got flamed in one of my games recently for playing LeBlanc.
You know what? That does not surprise me.
No, I stomped my lane. It was the enemy team flaming me. I'm going to get onto that in a moment because Lucky, seeing if he can contest this Rift Herald, because Poulsen's also in the area, but Fnatic have the numbers and Madly's so chunked. If Pride kind of knows where he is, throws out the shot blast, isn't going to hit. The Ash Arrow just skims Lucky, but Lucky now jumping into multiple members, looking for the stun onto Febby. Moonfall comes down into the Equalizer, trying to find the kill onto Featherven as he's able to dump away to safety, and that's going to be a double kill picked up for Pride. Lucky and Poulsen are cut off with no escape. The slows from Bean are just way too much as Lucky's thrown into the back of the team. Fnatic on low health bars, but they're flashing away because Bean is still healthy. Rift Herald secured for Fnatic, only losing Pride.
Yeah, they pick up a bit of a shutdown, I actually think, that Pride had gotten for himself. But outside of that, you really do not get much out of that situation. Most of the kills went over to Fnatic Rising, and they get to have to pay tempo with this Herald they have newly acquired. And then once again, Leona into Thresh. You can see it. It's so tough for Lucky to get access to the backline, or just anyone in general, because every time you send it flading forward, you're just getting flayed away. And then Poulsen, as soon as he finds himself in this situation, he's being flanked by an Ashe of all champions, bringing in the slow that's just too hard for them to deal with. And yes, they do get a nice pickup with the Q from the Voxner and a little help of Faith's Call with Lucky, but even then, Lucky just gets sacrificed for his work.
Well, at the 10-minute mark, the gold lead, 2,000 in favor of Fnatic. It feels like it should be more, to be honest, just because of how one-sided the fights have been. Does look like Lucky might be found out here as Maxi does get the snare off. They got the lantern to bring him over, and the flash over the wall by Lucky to escape. They're lucky because Bean didn't have R, but it's about to come up, and that means with the Rift Herald and the pressure that Fnatic are able to get, they probably need to back away. Equalizer's back up off cooldown as well. Equalizer into Ash Arrow, or Ash Arrow into Equalizer. Could spell one dev then Voxney.
And yet they're playing it so confident from the side of Trick that right now I think Fnatic has to think that Taxa was in the area. Just because they didn't commit to that play. There were 3 versus 2. Taxa was on the other side of the map. And they didn't go forward with the Rift Herald. I think they just respected Trick a bit too much there with how confident they're actually posturing. So nice bluff from Trick.
Baby, jumping away from Taxa and Poulsen. Dragon spawning up in 16 seconds, and the resets come in as Febby actually finally lands the chains, gets a nice little bit of a trade-off onto Paulson. There we go.
Very nice, very nice. Then 5 seconds, then we will have to Drake up and respawn in here. It is going to be a Cloud Drake, so no Cloud Soul this time around, either Mountain or Ocean. Rift Herald is up if you want to use that for pressure, but obviously while the plates are up, you would mostly like that to go on towards just one-shotting a tower. 4 plates on towards the bottom side of the map as well. I think it's down to nearly 3 as well. But yeah, as they're just clearing out the vision, I don't think there's much Trick can do in this situation. You can actually see Taxa on the minimap is moving up towards the top side of the map to see if they can catch Pride off guard. But Pride, a very experienced top laner, smells this without any vision, knows someone should be in the area as no one is contesting the Drake. And there you go.
And confirms his theory as well as he sees him. Goes for a quick shot blast. Has to be careful because Lucky is making his way over with the solar flares. Zenithblade's going to land and Pride takes to the skies, looks for the knockback onto one as Taxa will pop him. And Taxa's going low. One more auto attack will be enough for Pride able to survive it. That was closer than it needed to be as Pride almost goes down as well. But first Tower Blood will be gifted over to Fnatic with plates as well. Bean and Maxi split the gold. And nobody's going to be able to stop this Rift Herald charge as well, other than a minion wave in the tower. So as much as Shelly's having a bit of a weird walk, she will get this charge off and do a significant jump to tier 2 in the bot side as well.
Exactly, and yeah, then Voxney is picking up some plating now, but you can already see Fnatic is moving their bot lane up towards the top side of the map now, and it's time to play for this side of the map. And they can usually do this, or they can quite perfectly do this from this side of Fnatic, honestly, because there is 4 minutes until the next Drake spawns, which means you are not losing out on any objectives. So this huge pressure you bring to a part of the map where you move 2 members up, you don't have to worry about it, because now you can just use it to get free plating up towards the top side without losing anything towards the bottom side of the map.
It's an absolute freebie. Gonna see the wave get shoved in by Bean. He doesn't have a massive wave, so might be able to get a plate, but we'll need a bit more to work with. And Taxa and Lucky are in the area, so they may just be looking to try and find a collapse onto the Fnatic bot lane. But Maxi also about, and the drone shot will spot Taxa out from Bean, so he's able to see who's in the area. Feeling comfortable though, he's got himself, the rest of his team moving over. Febby's on the way. Febby does need to be a little bit careful because there is a bit of vision for him to worry about and be spotted out on, as Febby actually just distorts over the wall, spots out Lucky, and pings back to safety.
Yeah, but I actually really like that highlight as well. Thank you for the observer finding that in the mid lane. You actually saw Pride move into the mid lane, help Febby get priority. Okay, Lucky, you're looking.
Solar Flare, Zenithblade, great flay into the flash and cleansed by Bean. A little bit of miscommunication as the Lantern was thrown down, but are going to be able to escape and keep their AD carry alive as the Ash Arrow hits onto Denvoxy into the Equalizer. Hook blocked out by Lucky as Taxa tries to jump forward. The box will slow him down from trying to find the Moonfall onto Bean, but Rux will eat it for now. Taxa's taking a bunch of damage from Bean on the return, and the Lantern will stop him from the Crescent Strike.
But with that, plating has fallen. They're losing to wave towards the mid lane as well, and no one from the side of Fnatic fell there. So in actuality, it was actually a very long extended play, and now Febby, with the risk he had earlier with the mid lane that was just pushed out, he's moving up towards the top side once again, where then Voxn is pretty far ahead.
Spotted out on a ward. Febby comes over, misses the chain, gets himself stunned up. Febby, man. There's only so much I can forgive here, buddy. Yeah. Meanwhile, Pride finds Paulson, and Paulson puts the culling down, but Bean's making his way over to try and save his top lane, and the shot blast's not going to quite hit. They are going to be able to get away.
I don't think you can save for this wave then, Voxn. I think you just need to let this go, really.
I haven't been... Febby, he landed the chain! He dies, he lives!
But still, that is so greedy, thinking you can outplay that. You have flash, yes, but he just double QRs you, and then he just needs to hit one more ability. You had no business thinking you could outplay that.
As soon as you add Mimic, you know it's not you're gonna win.
Yeah, really. That is just, that is a freebie for Febby, I'd rather, if I've ever seen one.
All right, there we go. Landed it, and it worked. Right.
Rift Herald.
Sitting in a bush, not gonna find Madly, maybe.
I don't think, like, he can try and hit the abilities here, but nothing's gonna happen. It's really not. But now they do have that second Rift Herald, which they can use to open up this mid lane turret as well. Yes, they're probably gonna be using it for pressure around Drake. But I think there is an argument to be made where you just make your solo laners push in their respective sideways, try and collapse onto the mid lane turret, still get that, and then get the Drake afterwards, because you're still 3k ahead in your gold lead. And I think you can allow yourself to be a bit more greedy with the plays rather than just using Rift Herald for
Oh
only
no,
pressure.
Bean's in trouble. Bean has no summoner spells, and he is down. Taxa finds the kill. Febby,
Well, now I
jumping
don't
forward,
think you
has
can
the
allow
double dash from the double distortion. So there's the chain from Febby. Is going to eat the Culling his clone.
Oh.
Takes up a massive chunk of it for him. And Febby just about able to survive that. That's a serious amount of damage from Paulson.
Paulson, out of nowhere, gotten very much under the radar this entire game, but as soon as he finished up the Gale Force, he went for that play. Now, crucially, Febby does still have TP, so he's still going to be able to join a fight around Drake if it were to break out. Bean has just respawned, and it's looking like it's going to be a Drake with priority for Trick. But looking at the posturing, looking at the members from Fnatic, are they going to try and contest this? No. They're just going to drop the Herald in the mid lane, and it looks like they're going to back off. Or are they?
The Rux is making his way over. We'll spot it out, and bit of a questionable position there from Rux. We've seen people get punished a little bit harder for that, so honestly, pretty happy that he got away from that one as Pride chunks out Paulson. God damn, that's a lot of damage. Meanwhile,
That is a lot of damage.
That's a big wombo coming in here for Trick. Then Voxy slowed down. He's on top of the equalizer, and Febby will find him with a double distortion. He misses the chain once again as Febby able to get away to safety.
And there we go, once again, just a nice skirmish for Fnatic. It's very hard fighting in choke points against the Rumble. He saw them Voxner as soon as he was caught off guard. Oh, chains.
Landed the chain, gets a fair amount of damage, but didn't quite have the follow-up.
And once again, Fnatic, they lost on to Drake, but they had the priority around the mid lane where they were able to pick up the charge for Shelly, getting the tower, and then getting a second charge as well, even picking up a kill on the Voxner in the extended fight afterwards. So, and once again, nicely done by Fnatic. But Trick gets themselves 5 extra minutes by gaining this Drake onto themselves. But it's not like they necessarily have better scaling themselves. A lot of their damage is going to come from Taxa and the backline of Paulson and Voxner. And if you don't find a target you can instantly blow up, it's going to be very hard. And the members of Fnatic are going to be very hard to catch out. Vrox so far has done a very good job at keeping Bean alive. And even if that does not happen, Bean does still have Flash and Cleanse.
They're looking for a fight. Then Voxy, he's cooked. He's down. Bean finds the kill.
And Voxner has not had the best game on this Kalista. I think that is fair to say. But Fnatic, they're not making it easy either. They're keeping a target locked onto him. And here we kind of see the composition of the Ashe and Rumble. We were speaking to Riddle about this last week as well after they brought it out. It's kind of just how easy it is to play. As soon as you land an arrow, there's just an equalizer on top of you. There's slows. It's so easy for the rest of the members to collapse onto that target. Oh no.
Oh no, madly. The hook's gonna hit, the lantern comes in, and everybody follows on the chase. A flay into the box as Madly flashes away, but Bean hooks to hunt him down with the Kraken Slayer. Bean will secure the kill. Here comes Den Voxney though. Doesn't really have the follow-up as the rest of his team are on the bottom side of the map trying to finish up the tower. Fnatic just finding kill after kill and objective after objective. Den Voxney has to be careful once again because there are people about.
He's playing it like he's got 10,000 men in his back just waiting to support him when he quite is. He's quite alone. Yes, he did have Taxa and Lucky in the back, not too far away, but he gets blown up instantly if he walks too far forward. That shield bow is not going to do much.
No, it's not, unfortunately. We're 20 minutes now into the game, 5,000 gold lead for Fnatic. So the gold lead hasn't expanded to incredible levels considering how far ahead they were earlier, but we can take stock of the items now because double item for Bean. He's got the Kraken Slayer, he's got the Phantom Dancer. The Luden's Echo was finished up for Feathervin. He did detour into that Fiendish Codex earlier on, so it was a little bit slower for him to finish up his Mythic, but obviously was detouring towards, which I assume will be his Zhonya's as his second item. Judging from the items. Maxi on his first item for Pride, actually second item for Pride, almost finished up as Mana as well. Overall, Fnatic in a good spot right now as Febby, that's the chains land and that's the pop onto Den Voxney as he eats the arrow, he eats the equalizer, and the kill will be gifted to Feathervin. He set that play up, he deserves it. A double kill for Feathervin.
Oh my god, they're just targeting him down once again. Gets hit by the chain, gets hit by the arrow, is standing on top of literal fire from the equalizer, and now It looks like they want to catch the rest of the members.
Can he land the chains? No, he can't. He's going to get Teba. Goes in for the double sigil as Madly will just be the sacrificial lamb here. Slowly but surely run down as Feathervin is unstoppable on the LeBlanc. 5-0 and 5.
And they're not looking to stop here. You still with me here, Jake?
Yep, I'm with you.
All right, there
Sorry,
we go.
we were so... like, I saw him distort forward, but I wasn't looking at the minimap. And the scoreboard was blocking who he was jumping at. So I was like, oh, he's just jumping forward for, like, vision, I guess. And didn't realize someone was there.
Well, there we go. 30 seconds on towards this next Stray guy is going to respawn. They're not going to try and threat the Baron. They're going to go for their own resets on the side of Fnatic. And yeah, I think they should be able to pick up some good vision unless they can catch someone off guard here. Pride.
Teleport's coming in. They're bringing back up. Pride has to flash away, but the Moonfall will connect, and Taxa gets chunked out pretty heavily by Pride. Pride trying to survive. Uses the stopwatch as the equalizer's down. Maxi going to force Taxa to flash away as here comes Febby onto that flank. Maybe finding Denvoxy, although Polson's in the area as well. Double Sigil is going to get thrown down as Featherman getting cullinged and shut down by Polson. Trick just find the turnaround.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. They're going to start off this Drake. 30 seconds, 20 on Pride as well. They could potentially try and threat something around the Baron, but no, I think HP pass too low for Taxa. I don't think they're going to go for it, but they're going to gain themselves some extra resistances here, picking up the second Mountain Drake.
It's great for them. I mean, a Mountain Soul, 4 Mountain Soul into something like a LeBlanc really shuts down her ability just to one-shot you, because that's kind of what LeBlanc like is built to do. As we have a look at the replay.
Yeah, and I think you can see the amount of damage Pride does here as well. Taxa is full HP when this happens to him. It just almost gets blown up. And then, obviously, we see Taxa forced to flash out of this play immediately. I'm quite curious. Oh, but never mind. We just get something in the picture here instead. It looks like we might find a skirmish here.
Madly going to eat the hook into the Ash Arrow, into the Equalizer. Madly able to survive as go Lucky. I choose you. Here comes Taxa with the Moonfall. Uses the stopwatch on top of the lantern. Can he get away in time? Yes, he can. The hook connects and Febby jumps over the wall, trying to find himself the kill onto Lucky. Lucky has the stopwatch. Lucky's able to survive. Fnatic unable to find a kill. And just to hit on something a little bit tragic for Feathervin, other than him faceplanting the walls. Look at his items. After he died, he bought a Medjais.
Oh, that was after he died? He didn't have
that? I was watching in the replay. He still had the Dark Seal. He had 10 stacks on a Dark Seal, died, and then bought a Medjais.
Well, there you go. He's confident he can stack it up again. But we saw a lot of wards come through onto that lantern as well. I can't actually believe Maxi was able to pick it up. But I think we only saw a blue trinket as standard ward. And then we actually didn't see the pink ward from Lucky being picked down as well on towards the lantern. So I think that's how Maxi was able to get over the wall here. And you can kind of see the threat of Fnatic Rising as well. That pickup from a hook into the Ash Arrow, into the Rumble ultimate. And then you are basically cooked. If you are not Madly, like if Karma is not around you, you're sure to die.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the argument is they weren't really going to be able to take the Baron if they killed Maxi there. But, you know, again, committing a control ward to find some gold when you're behind, also probably worth it. Not entirely sure on the decision making there, but ultimately Maxi is able to escape. Now, if we take a look at what's going on the map state right now, Feathervin's shoving a wave in on the bottom side, but Fnatic of Group 4 and Lucky is going to find himself hooked up by Rux. They're holding the Flay, waiting for the volley. Solar Flare lands on multiple members. This might be their open. Bean stopwatches everything as he flashes over the wall, and the Equalizer's laid down. Fnatic get away with murder there. The Culling's going to land on the Rux, heavily chunked out as the Ash Arrow comes in from Bean. And Tricked continues to go forward, dashing in as Rux gets chunked out pretty heavily by the Gale Force. Meanwhile, during all of this, Feathervin just quite happily taking the tier 2 on the bottom side of the map.
And that's the thing. Meanwhile, you're trying to commit plays as Trick. Fnatic, the communication will just be, oh, we're 4 vs 5, just back off.
Oh, no.
I'm Feathervin, I'm getting so many reasons to stop. Oh, no.
He has Mimic, he has the Mimic, he's landed the chain, gets the pop of the Immortal Shield Bow onto Denvoxy. So Denvoxy able to survive for now.
Yeah, then Voxner opted in for the Withstand as well. I think that's pretty intelligent, seeing how Febby is pretty far ahead, and they do have an AP jungler in Maxi. So, yeah, pretty clever pickup there, as he's already been blown up quite a lot throughout this game.
I still love that Feathervin hasn't been able to find a single kill since Spider-Man Chase.
I mean, it's not that far long ago, is it? When did you say this? 5 minutes ago? Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but it's just, I find it funny that he died and then since then has just been sitting on a Medjai's, which is not really doing much for him.
It really is not. And I think it's time for Fnatic to establish a very aggressive line of vision here. I think they can allow themselves this. So as soon as you put your bot lane into the mid lane, as soon as your solo laners is out of the side, try to establish as much aggressive vision as you can. Forcing Trick to face check more on the map, forcing you to take control and ownership of majority of the map. Just because you have that arrow, you have that pick potential with an assassin like LeBlanc. Oh no.
He has to be careful. They've all been sped up. He's looking to run away. He doesn't have the flash. Instantly goes in for the cleanse as he's going to get resurrected by his Guardian Angel. The stopwatch is used. Bean takes the lantern. He's out. The solar flare lands and Taxa continues to jump forward. Bean is low. Bean is still alive. Dodging away on the Crescent Strike. How the hell did Bean live?
Oh no, this is going to be very bad for Trick if they start to get collapsed on now, but it looks like Fnatic, they'll back up themselves. 20 seconds onto Drake. Bean, obviously an AD carry, does not have teleport to join the fray, but I think if Fnatic wants to, they can join this fight. Remember, no Fate's Call, no Solar Flare, no Diana Ultimate, and no Calling for Lucian either. So, they are heavily down going into this, but I actually think looking at Fnatic as well, they're lacking some ultimates as well. So this is going to be a very interesting fight.
You do still have Febi, though, who's ready to kind of go in for an assassination. If they group up, a double distort could just win this fight for Fnatic without even taking a life. Febi has to be careful. The Scryer won't block him out. He's waiting for his opportunity to jump over the wall. Poulsen looks to jump in as he distorts away to safety from Poulsen. And Poulsen zoned Febiven out, so Febiven not able to join into the fight, and this could just be the third dragon for Trick Fnatic. Kind of crumbling here.
Yeah, but a lot of that credit goes over to Poulsen for actually being able to zone away the LeBlanc. But now Fnatic, seeing how most of Trick is stuck at the bot side of the map, they're just going to rush straight to Baron.
Stop for the crab, but they are going to be able to pick it up, and this is going to be the Baron start here. Remember, being pretty strong, they'll be able to chuck through this fairly quickly. Febi, inside this blue jungle, looking for someone to assassinate. Madly will be spotted out. Half health onto Baron, a third health onto Baron. Poulsen has to make this happen as the Equalizer is just going to block any attempt from Trick to get in, but they're going to get sped up. They're going to come in for the chase, and now the recalls are coming in. Can they find their man? Can they find their kill? Solar Flare dodged away. Poulsen dashes forward. Bean's all alone. Bean gets jumped onto. They're trying to find the safety. The Lantern will bail him out. Featherman on the run as well. Hook goes wide from Rux. Everybody is going low, as Lucky's going to be the first victim of the fight. Then Boxy able to find himself a kill. Now it's going to be Rux next to go down. Fnatic aren't done here, though. They find themselves a tether. Taxa pops the ultimate onto nobody. Pride jumps in. Double stopwatches are used. The flashes are coming down. And Poulsen is picked up by Featherman. Then Boxney and Madly. The only two to survive. As here is Rux trying to find an ability. Trying to find this the way to zone. The hook from Rux into the snipe from Pride. Trick to squash. And Trick have nothing left in the tank. Madly is cooked. And it's an ace for Fnatic.
That was such a messy fight. Going after Fnatic, picked up that Baron and Tricked, trying to chase them down. And I think a lot of it really hit brain came down to how scattered Trick became in this fight. You can see their targeting is never on one man. They're using so many different abilities on so many fronts. First they go on to Bean, then the Lanterns get out, then three of the members want to chase down Featherman, and Lucky jumps in all alone by himself, gets taken off, then it's off to then Voxner, going off against Rox and company by himself, and then the fight is still going on the other side, and they just keep getting picked up rather than playing as one cohesive unit in this instance.
It was such a good fight by Fnatic, but such an overreach from Trick. And Rux just bought so much time. Really, really nice stuff from him. Tax has to be a little bit careful. Febi has the double dash up, and now with this massive goal lead, and now that Febiven's book is starting to look a little bit more full. 16 pages in the Medjai's. There's also a Medjai's on Maxi now. He's feeling it.
Yeah, he really is. And you got the Baron, you can start chasing down.
It's about to get even bigger as Maxi's on a rampage. Pride getting jumped onto by Poulsen. What is that damage by Pride? Finds himself the kill before going down himself. As a very long chain comes out from Febi and does a massive chunk of damage to Lucky. Inhibitor is going to go down here. And Febi looking for just a little bit more damage onto Lucky, just to zone him away. Tax has to be careful, although Taxa does have that Moonfall available. Turret number 1's going to go down, and tower number 2 will be next up. Trick have to find their opportunity. Moonfall lands onto just Ruxus. Bean's going to take a little bit of the pop. The Solar Flare goes wide and doesn't hit who they need it to hit. Lucky, not so lucky today, as he is going to find the hook from Rux. A double kill for Featherman. 25 stacks on that Magi to round the game out, and 30 minutes on the clock. Fnatic rising, absolutely stomp through the latter half of this game.
It felt competitive until it really didn't it? It really did seem like early game very much in Fnatic's favor. Then towards the mid game, seemed like Trick was coming back. Seemed like they were finding their objectives despite being so much down in the gold. But then as soon as that Baron happened, as soon as all those kills went over to the side of Fnatic, it just seemed like there was nothing Trick to do. They were just getting sieged down.
I mean, Fnatic with that early fight in bot lane, I think it was like 3.5 minutes into the game, where it honestly could have been an ace. Tricks were lucky not to get ace there. A couple of missed skill shots, a couple of fumbles, and Fnatic, honestly, you know, that game maybe was a little closer than it needed to be just because of how good of a start they had. I don't know. We'll let the analyst desk talk a little bit more about that. But for now, it's time for a break. We'll see you after these ads.